And just like that, if you have a DJI drone here in the UK, DJI have just changed the way that we fly our drones forever, because without any warning, any press release, any firmware update, app update, DJI have now introduced a hard 120 meter limit to all their DJI drones carrying a C labeled marking. Now, basically, if you open up the DJI Fly app, where we used to be able to slide that slider all the way up to 500 meters, as soon as this drone gets a GPS lock, knows that we are flying in the UK, it's going to limit that all the way back down to 120 meters. Now, because this is being applied immediately to C0 or C1 drones, that's a huge amount of drones. The chances are that you actually fly. So this covers, of course, the DJI Neo 2, the original Neo, the DJI Flip, the Mini 5 Pro, the Mini 4 Pro. Just to be clear, this 120 meter hard limit was actually introduced to EU regulations quite some time ago, except it was never actually implemented here in the UK, except now it actually has. Now, any new drones on the market, as per the new regulations from the 1st of January 2026, did actually stipulate that any new drones must have a UK class marking, it must have a green flashing light, and it must be limited to 120 meters. What we didn't expect is DJI was actually going to go back and retrospectively apply this 120 meter limit to any existing C0 or C1 etc. drones currently on the market. Now, something in the DJI Fly app really stood out, because as you can see, there is now this option to increase the altitude limit. But unfortunately, if we grab our mobile phone, scan the QR code, it just takes us to a page that states DJI will no longer reclassify C0 drones into C1 drones, which of course would have raised that limit back to 500 meters. So because DJI are no longer reclassifying drones that are already on the market, unfortunately, there's absolutely no way around this. Now, many of you will say that this isn't really a big problem because the maximum legal height is 120 meters, and you would be right, except that 120 meters is from the closest point of the Earth's surface. So essentially, if you wanted to fly up a hill or mountain, for example, this limit in the DJI Fly app of 500 meters allowed you to fly up that higher terrain while still staying legal within that 120 meter limit. Now, of course, as of this new regulation, this is going to absolutely prevent you from being able to do that, because now with that 120 meter baked in limit, essentially, if you wanted to fly up a mountain, you would essentially have to land once you reach that 120 limit and then take off again. So that's not really practical at all, and in some places that's actually going to be impossible. Now, just to give a balanced argument here, whilst it was nice to be able to raise that altitude limit to 500 meters, and whilst it did allow us to keep within 120 meters of the closest point of the Earth's surface, at the end of the day, that 120 meters was always measured from takeoff point, so ground level. So of course, if you did fly up a hill or a mountain, because the altitude is measured from takeoff point, not above ground level, how are you realistically going to know that you are staying within 120 meters of that ground? So say, for example, the terrain rises, you raise your terrain. I'm sorry, but your eyes cannot determine or know that you are within 120 meters of the closest point of the Earth. So whilst I don't actually like this hard limit, I can actually see some of the logic if I'm remaining completely balanced and neutral here. So I'm sure this is going to create a huge amount of talking points, so please do let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And whilst I mentioned earlier that this was expected to come on any new UK labelled models launched after the 1st of January 2026, I certainly did not see them retrospectively applying it to C labelled drones that was already on the market. So that got me thinking, is there a drone out there which is absolutely perfect for UK drone flyers? What if I told you there was a drone that was under 250 grams, meaning you can add navigation lights and strobes to be able to aid visual line of sight? It has a green flashing light, making it compliant for night flying, and it doesn't have a C label, making it completely immune from this 120 meter hard limit. Has anybody still got their DJI Mini 2 lying around? Thanks for watching, and see you again soon.